I never imagined it would all start so quietly. My name is Julia. I'm 32 years old, and I live in Rome. Until then, I'd been absolutely convinced I had my life figured out. My husband, Lorenzo, suddenly had to leave for Milan for a business conference, leaving me alone in our apartment near Trastevere, or at least almost alone. His father, Alessandro, was staying with me for a few days. He was an elegant man, around 60, the kind of person who never raised his voice, but could fill an entire room with his mere presence. His gray hair was always neatly styled, his shirts always perfectly pressed, and a subtle scent of wood and citrus always followed him. He decided to stop in Rome to settle some legal matters, and Lorenzo, without thinking twice, suggested he stay with us. At first, everything seemed completely ordinary. A leisurely stroll through the city alleys, a coffee standing at the bar, polite, light conversation. I wore a simple light dress, flat sandals, and small earrings. Nothing provocative, or so I thought. That morning, when everything began to change, I wore a soft, cream-colored linen dress with a thin belt that barely accentuated my waist. My hair was loose, still slightly damp from my shower. I went to call him for breakfast. His bedroom door was slightly ajar. Without knocking, I entered. I paused. Alessandro stood with his back to me, his shirt open at the chest, and he was wearing light-colored trousers. He wasn't naked. There was nothing explicit, but there was something about the way the fabric fell on his body and his casual demeanor that suddenly made me feel out of place. He turned. Our eyes met. Neither of us spoke, only for a few seconds, maybe two. "Good morning, Julia," he finally said in a calm voice. I felt the heat slowly rise from my neck to my cheeks. "Breakfast is ready," I replied, looking down. In the kitchen, I tried to focus on my coffee. My hands trembled slightly as I set the cups on the table. I kept telling myself it was just shyness, nothing more. But occasionally, I felt his presence behind me, even when he wasn't actually there. At the dinner table, we talked about trivial things: traffic in Rome, the weather, Lorenzo. But between those sentences, a different kind of silence existed. A silence that seemed to be listening. That evening, we walked together along the Tiber River. Sunlight filtered through the trees. I wore black ballet flats, a small shoulder bag, and a thin bracelet that jingled softly with every movement of my wrist. At one point, I stumbled slightly on the sidewalk, and Alessandro immediately caught my arm. The touch was brief and precise, yet my skin reacted as if an electric current had passed through it. "Are you okay?" "Yes." He didn't let go of my hand immediately. That night, when I returned home, I wore a thin robe that was almost transparent in the warm light of the hallway. It wasn't a completely conscious decision. Or maybe it actually was, though I was reluctant to admit it even to myself. As I passed him, I felt his gaze on me. It wasn't insistent or intrusive. It was simply there, silent yet unmistakable. That night, I struggled to sleep. I kept replaying small, seemingly insignificant moments: the tone of his voice, the way he said my name, the distance between us, or rather, the lack thereof. Around 3 a.m, I heard footsteps. My bedroom door remained open for a while. No one entered, but the anticipation felt heavier than any hint. In that moment, I realized something at once terrifying and wonderful. Something had begun, though neither of us dared put it into words yet. The second day began with a noticeably different light. Rome seemed slower, as if the city itself had decided to hold its breath with me. I woke early and pulled on Lorenzo's ivory long-sleeved shirt from the closet, wearing nothing underneath. My bare feet touched the cold floor, making me shiver. And not just from the temperature. In the kitchen, I found Alessandro already awake. He was sitting at the table with the newspaper open in front of him, thin glasses perched on his nose, and a cup of coffee in his hand. He was wearing a blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up and dark trousers. Simple. Perfect. He looked up. He paused a little longer than usual. "Good morning," he said,